Hey, hey, what's up, y'all? So I'm about to go to bed, and a lot has happened in the past few days. I'm not gonna get into the depths of it, but I was supposed to go live on Saturday or Sunday. I can't remember which day. I had made up in my mind that I was supposed to go live, and I didn't. And because we're not gonna get it anyway, I didn't go live, and I was supposed to, and it's funny because I wanted to talk about this subject, but I kind of needed a moment to be able to try and follow my own advice, you know. So, what I want to talk about is how I've been evolving lately. First of all, huge props to the Mother Goddess, to the Goddess herself, Divine Mother, whatever you want to call her, the feminine divine, the being, the feminine being that rules all this shit, because we've heard that it's a man's world, but really it's not. We all know pussy runs the world. But anyway, we ain't gonna get into that. That's not what we're here to talk about. But big shout out to the Divine Mother and all of my ancestors and all of the beings who have taken time out of their day to try to help me out and help me become better. Shout out to them, because it has been a journey for all of us. I can only imagine the banging up their head up against the wall, trying to figure out how the fuck do we convince this chick that you're tripping. No, but my guides and my beings surrounding me have been very patient with me. But I believe it's because they understand the amount of pressure that comes with being in this space. But I have been on a tremendous healing journey over the past few months. It got to a very dark place to come out to this side, so I know it was all ordained for me to be here right now. And the biggest help that I've found to help me evolve in my growth is truth. Now, we've all heard the saying, the truth will set you free. And it's such a cliche, but it's so very true. And I'm going to explain it to you. I was talking to someone over the weekend, and I was telling them about how when you open yourself up to truth, you allow space for other things. So I gave my junky back room as an example. My other room is filled with a bunch of crap. It's really just a storage space because I don't have like a shed or anything like that. So I use a back room that I don't use as a place where I store all my crap. And I was saying, telling the truth to yourself is like cleaning out your storage room. When you move something out, say it's something, like, what's a good example? Like, I have an old cat litter box in my back room, and I haven't cleaned it out, so it's kind of stinky. And I moved that thing out, and it's kind of a big, I don't even touch it, it's gross, but I did it anyway, right? And then I go back to my back room, and there's this open space. It's an open space to allow new things to come in, but instead of something new, it allows fresh, new energy to come into the room. So it's not so junky, it's not so cluttered. And every time you move a piece of truth out of the back of your back room in your mind that you really don't want to deal with, you don't like talking about it, you don't even like thinking about it, you put it in the back room for a reason. When you move it out of that back room, it allows a little bit more space for the goddess spirit to drop in a special gift just for you. And that's what I've been doing lately with myself. I've been being, I want to say horribly honest, aggressively honest. What's the word? It's another word I wanted to use. When you don't hold back any of the harsh things from yourself. that type of honest. And it has allowed me to be freed up in my spirit, to not be so tense or so sad or so shameful or so guilty. It's really allowed a new way of thinking to usher itself in, moving through truth. I had known this, but I really got to put that to the test this week, and it's only Tuesday. Shit can be heavy just all in one day, right? I just felt there was a truth in my body that I was feeling in the back of my mind. I didn't want to say it. I didn't want to touch it. I didn't even want to bring that shit into existence. Don't even throw this shit in my direction. Fuck that. And I noticed that whenever I don't want to tell the truth to myself, I find a bunch of other reasons as to why this thing is happening, or as to why I may be feeling anxious or angry or whatever the case may be. You know, this is because this reason, this and the whole world's against me, and oh, this is just all these bad things I make up in my mind just to not reveal a truth to myself, a simple truth that I felt at the time would be too painful to admit. And I was all broken up about it and just tossing and turning in my mind and in my body. And I did a lot of crying and just all the things. And today I was coming from work. I was going to, oh, my cat came in the door. I was going to the store, and I was just so overwhelmed. And I was thinking after I didn't want to be at work. I was tired. Just everything was getting on my nerves. Work has been a little stressful because things are changing and people don't know what they're doing, and it's just a mess. And I'm driving from work, and I'm thinking, well, I thought before I left, I'm like, I'm probably just going to cry when I get home. I'm going to cry again. I cried yesterday, I'm going to cry again. And whenever I'm in that space where I've battled myself out all day with all the thoughts of what's gonna this and what's gonna that and this is this and this is and I'm finally tired, and the beings come in and they're like, Crystal, they don't sound, in my mind I'm gonna say, Elda, why don't you just tell yourself the truth? It's not what actually happened. It's more like they try to introduce little things when my mind starts to quiet down and I become a little numb. And it was in a way like, just tell the truth. Just be honest. Just be honest. This is how I actually feel. I said, okay. And just as I said that, I could feel just a little bit of worry just lift off of me, just a little bit. And I said it again in my mind, just a little bit more. And then I went to the store and I did all the things, and I went and got something to eat. And as I left the restaurant, I finally said it out loud, and it was like, now was that so bad? Was that so bad? We oftentimes think that the most painful truths will completely destroy us, when the truth of the matter is they are growing into huge problems in that back room, where the room is filled to bursting. And this is where people start going off the rails, and they start having mental breakdowns and suicidal thoughts and all that. And I finally come to understand that when you will not allow yourself to be in that truth and to feel those emotions and let them actually play out and just trying to hold them in, that is more destructive than actually saying it, really revealing it to yourself. It's going to be painful, but not nearly as painful as all the years of self-sabotage, all of the years of beating yourself up, all the years of guilt, all these things affecting your life in negative ways. That pain will not equal the cry time that you're probably going to get from that truth. You may cry for a day. You may cry for a week, maybe in a few weeks, versus years of undeserved pain, guilt, internal violence to yourself. It's just not worth it. I would always hate when gurus and people would say, try to observe your emotions, try to not be so attached to them. And I never could. I hated it so much. Oh, Sean, what the fuck does that shit mean? Observe your emotions. I'm literally sitting in the emotion. How else could I not feel and just observe? It's an emotion. It's meant to be felt. And in a way, I still feel like that. But it wasn't until I started telling the truth to myself that I was able to have the space, the internal space, to be just a little bit more detached from them. Revealing small truths to myself that was slightly painful opened up just a little bit more space for me to get my head above the water and look down. Because when you're drowning in all of the bullshit, when you're drowning in all of the lies, because of the refusal to tell the truth, of course you can't get away from the emotions. Of course you can't observe shit. You're in the shit, like you're literally head underwater. You can't observe nothing. But when you're able to bring your head up just for a little bit, even if it's just like, just for you to take a little bit of breath out of the water, it gives you a space to be able to look down for just a second, like, oh. And then you release a little bit more truth and a little bit more truth, and now you're finally able to be like, you can look down without having to hold your breath. And sometimes you'll get overwhelmed and like, you're drowning in your tears. And eventually you'll come off of that and you'll be able to look down a little bit longer and observe. That's the key. That's the key that I found, to be able to fully observe my emotions without being completely drenched in them, is to tell a little bit of truth. I'll tell a little bit of truth right now. What's a little bit of truth? A little bit of truth is I have issues accepting love. I'm afraid to accept love because I am afraid that love will be taken away from me and I will be abandoned again. That's heavy. And that I feel, oof, that's heavy. I'm afraid of abandonment because I've been abandoned emotionally a lot, ever since I was a little girl, especially by men. I've been emotionally abandoned a lot, and I'm afraid of that, which makes me afraid to love, which in turn makes me afraid to accept love from anyone also. You can breathe through that. Take a few breaths, because I know I'm not the only one who feels that way. And I feel the emotion welling up in my throat. I feel the little girl in me saying, it's not fair. It's not fair. It's not fair. I didn't deserve that. It's not fair. It's not. But we survived, and then the adult Crystal comes out and takes her hand and say, we survived. We survived that abandonment. And in return, we were able to give ourselves love. I love you, Crystal. And I will protect you as much as I can from anything, from anyone, from any situation. You have support within me. And I feel the little girl crying, and I feel her grabbing my leg and saying thank you. And I take her in my arms and I hold her and I hug her real tight, and I tell her that I love her. And I can look down and see all the emotions that come with that revelation. I'm afraid to love, and I'm afraid to be loved, because I'm afraid it'll be gone and I'll be empty and sad again. But that doesn't have to be my reality. I can choose to take a moment and change that thought to say no. I can look around myself and I can see all the love around me, even if I'm alone. I know that there are ancestors and spirits who love me. I feel them around me all the time. I know that there is a whole team of beings constantly surrounding me all the time because they know I need the help. And they love me, and they let me know every single day by guiding me. I have family who loves me, but most important, I love me. I love the transformation. I love seeing myself try. I love that I haven't given up on me yet. There's the love. So even if love leaves, I could never be abandoned. Never. Could never be abandoned. Because I'll always have me. And I take moments where I feel and acknowledge my body. I observe how it feels to physically be in my body. And that feeling of actually being in my body feels like a huge hug to my spirit. Yeah. Being in my body feels like a huge, unconditional, always surrounding hug to my spirit. And that's how you start to open up your mind space. That's how you start to open up your heart, is telling the truth about how you feel, observing those emotions, feeling them, allowing yourself to feel emotional and not apologize for it. Don't punish yourself for it. It's natural. It's a good thing. It's good that you're feeling. You've been not feeling for so long. Let yourself feel it. Let yourself sit in it. And then once you're done crying, because the emotion is going to still be there, they just won't be as intense. You can look down and see all of the emotions raging or feeling sad, and get to the point where you see the real truth is that little girl or little boy in you is still so very much in pain. That's really what it is. That little girl or little boy or whatever is in so much pain. Acknowledge that little girl or little boy. Acknowledge them give them support, because you're an adult now. You have the ability to protect yourself from a lot of different things, and you have to be able to take back your own power. But even more so, realize that you do have love around you. If anything, you can love yourself. And there are always spirits and guides around you who love you. There's always the higher spirit that loves you because you're here. Find that love in any place you can possibly find it. And then, once you're done with that, you don't want to feel that way anymore. You can change your story. Redirect your story to some real truth of love, and that you could never, well, for me, be abandoned, because there's so much love around me. And then walk with that every day as much as you can. You can do one thing at a time. You don't have to tackle it all today or whatever day. One thing at a time. That's what's been helping me thus far, and I hope it helps you. And I'm going to lay down and I'm going to try to go to bed. We'll see. But anyway, much love. Bye. Mwah. Woo. Bye. If I can get off.